Hey friends, it's Kate from Venison for dinner. It's mid-September. It was pretty much at freezing this morning. And you know what? We got a long winter coming up ahead. So I want to show you what we're doing to get ready for winter. The number one thing that always happens is a yard cleanup. All the random things that make their way around the yard like a broken bucket. So the kids have been piling stuff here that will go to dump and recycling and a burning pile and all that sort of stuff. Because once everything gets covered in snow, it just gets a whole lot more tricky. So we got to make sure we get that done. I have stopped watering our greenhouse. I'm just letting things be. They're gonna die or live at this point. We got a nice pumpkin coming on over here. The water tank though, it still has some water in it. We're not quite at critical freezing point yet. So we're gonna use this up and then all these hoses will get drained and put away. It's super important to drain outdoor taps and hoses. Our chickens are mostly free range all of summer, but for winter we need to make sure that their coop doesn't have any buildup, which it doesn't. This is very minimal buildup in here, which is fine, but we want to start winter with a mostly fresh slate. And this is because all winter we're going to be doing a deep bedding method where we just keep piling up more bedding and more bedding. And even though what the chickens are on is clean, below is composting, and that puts off heat, which then warms the chickens up. So before things are frozen, we want to make sure that all the doors swing properly. All the chicken coops have insulated doors. And they also have these. Oh, these actually didn't even get pulled out. These are ventilation things. So because we just leave the doors open, they're not such a big deal. But we got to make sure those are closed for winter. Our big compost pile that Marius has been turning right there. He'll make sure it's out of the way because we feed cows in here in winter. Heading down this way, Marius has started taking down most of our electric fences because we aren't using them in winter because we're not grazing. The animals all have winter pens. The pigs are actually already in their winter pen because one pig was constantly getting out and we couldn't figure out how he was getting out. Oh, my lovely cows here. One of my cows, my heifer, is at a bull getting bred right now. She comes back tomorrow. Hopefully she's bred. These two calve mid-October, so kind of just not quite winter, but close. So it's gotten a bit chaos and messy in here. So we're gonna make sure that this is nicely tidied up before these two give birth. It is a cold breeze today. A crucial thing, of course, is hay and bedding. We actually don't store much. We have a farmer down the road who stores it for us, huge bales, and we just take them as we need them. But we do have about 50 more, 45, something like that, square bales to get, because it is nice to have some square bales on hand just in case. And we do have more bedding straw to pick up. A milk cow eats their weight in hay a month while they're lactating. So our cows are all around 1,000 pounds, some a bit more, some a bit less. So we just say 1,000 pounds. So 3 cows, we need 3,000 pounds of hay a month. And although all that hay goes through them, and guess what? They're pooping, and there's a lot of poop that needs to be dealt with. So by the end of winter, there is a lot of poop to be dealt with. I mean, it's always getting cleaned up, but there's a huge pile that then gets turned all summer, and then it goes on the garden. So the milk cows give us all sorts of fertility. So the hoses are ready to come out of the garden because we're done watering down here, and it's chillier than it looks. So it looks like there's still a lot down here in the garden, but in the next few days, this is almost all gonna be out. So we have friends coming to visit, and they're coming to dig potatoes with us. Potatoes go from here down to just above where Marius is, where the boys are kind of. So the boys have started on potatoes because it's supposed to start raining, and it's really not great to dig potatoes in the rain. It just makes it a more muckier mess. Some green beans need to be picked today. We did cover some of them, but some blew off. These cabbages, I'm hoping are good storage cabbages. They're Copenhagen market cabbages, so I'm gonna store them. Tomorrow we're making kraut. I see I have a split cabbage there. These purple cabbages, I had a few different varieties and none of them headed up well this year. They were a fail. Cabbages, those will be kraut cabbages. There's only a bit more broccoli. You can see lots of frost damage on the green beans because the cloth blew off. There's not much more broccoli. We can really start feeding the plants to the pigs here.
This is where
So this is this soil on this end is a lot firmer. Oh, you know what? You're in the Glerups, and the Glerups just often don't do well, and they didn't do well this year.
This end of the garden.
Yeah, this end of the garden doesn't do as well. Down there you can see lots more.
I got 50 off of one plant.
That's wild. And Marius is pulling onions. I knocked over the stems on most of them. As you can see, they're all bent over at the necks about a week ago, and that helps them go into dormancy. We have a lot of small onions this year. They didn't do amazing. But nothing, yeah, it wasn't a stellar garden year.
Bad year.
So good.
Potatoes actually did pretty good. That's our fingerlings. So.
Yeah, these are fingerlings.
They're not fingerlings.
They're not really fingerlings. Oh, someone stabbed a potato.
Hey, Mish.
So this variety, there's one random one in here, is Kariba, and it doesn't like to do well, but they store so well, and we have space that we do them anyways, just to keep the seed going. These are beautiful. We are gonna eat well this winter. We've already been eating out of this row too. And there's still beets, although honestly, I grew the beets mostly for the pigs, because the pigs love them and we don't actually love them, and they're easy to grow here. So there's a lot of not big ones again. They just didn't do well this year, but pigs love them. Another thing we need to do before winter comes in earnest is butcher chickens, but we hatched really late because we thought we were going to be moving and then we weren't. So we hatched our meat birds really late this year. So we're not going to be butchering them until like end of October, early November, and it's going to be really cold. But it just is what it is. We also need to drastically downsize our laying flock, and they will be soup hens. They'll be delicious. Yeah, so our winter deadline is Mac has a moose draw September 25th. So we want to get pretty much all our winter prep done before that. There is some things that just can't be done before that. What do you have that for, Hamish?
It's Freya's birthday present. We found a salamander.
You found a salamander?
we're gonna give it to Freya tonight.
Sad, cold little salamander.
Oh, what type of salamander is it?
I don't know.
Those are the ones we have.
He buried himself in there.
That's pretty cute.
He'd already buried himself.
I found them lots when I was a kid, all over the place.
What we should look at what sort of house he needs to be in.
Yeah, we should.
He's gonna try to go hibernate.
Okay, so what else is on our winter list? We got butchering. We don't have any pig or cow butchering to do. Get the garden out. Pardon me?
Kindling.
Kindling. The boys have been working on filling a massive wooden box of kindling so that in winter we don't have to make kindling for a good while.
Cow pen.
The what?
Cow pen.
The cow pen, yeah.
Clean up the yard.
Yeah, yard cleanup.
Make fruit.
I've gone over most of this, I think.
Why do we clean the yard up?
So that we don't lose things in the snow.
Well, I don't crush it with the tractor.
Oh yeah, we don't crush it when we're plowing.
Because it's a mess. That's what we're cleaning up.
Actually, not too bad.
I forgot to tell you that we kind of expect to have snow in October, but November we're going to have snow that sticks. And we're going to have snow. April is a month where like we could have snow or it could be beautiful. So that's kind of the realm of when we expect to have snow. So our bedroom, which I'm standing in right now, is the farthest away from the wood furnace. And it's in, like our house was a log house that then they added on, like built a house around it. So it is the coldest room in the house. And in winter, it can be so cold in here. So here hiding in my bedroom, I have this rigid insulation and they are cut to fit in our windows. So we put this rigid insulation that's like 1.5, 2 inches, it's 2 inches thick. We put this in our windows. And this makes such a big difference in these windows. It keeps our room so much warmer. In the room below us and the room beside us as well. But this year we replaced all the windows in those rooms because they were in really bad shape. The windows in our bedroom are actually in good shape. but the windows downstairs were all in bad shape in those 2 rooms. So we replaced those windows. We will still cover them up because the one room that's right below us is our guest room, but also it's where Marius's mead ferments. So he wants that room to be nice and warm so that the mead bubbles away in winter. Overall, it's not a crushing list, but it's a list that we have been working on for like 2 weeks now. Actually, I'm going to show you our list. So we have our fall list. So here's by the end of August, and we did get that done. We used just the empty space to add more things. By mid-September, there's only a couple more things. Marius is prioritizing. So mid-September is tomorrow. But we actually already started stuff from by the end of September list because he's prioritizing stuff that can be done when it's dry versus wet. So some things here, they can be done when it's raining, whereas things on the by the end of September list really are better when it's dry. And then we have a by the end of October list. And then I also have a list of cleaning goals because right now we are not homeschooling until the middle of October and we are not milking until the middle of October. So I have quote unquote spare time on my hands that I am tackling house cleaning. I've been doing things like this bookshelf all got organized. Hi, Amos. And organizing homeschool supplies and decluttering like crazy and all those sort of things, making sure that everybody has the right winter gear. When I'm not milking, or to be honest, when we've been milking for a long time, this bathroom where we deal with milk gets disorganized. So that's something that I need to do, is give this a good deep clean and sanitize buckets and all that. I also put some time in this summer and I deeply decluttered and sorted totes so that we knew what we had and I could make sure we had everything we need. I'm going to take down some totes and show you some examples of winter gear that we like for here. So we do 2 full sets of winter gear per kid. And this is because then when they get wet, when the snow gets wet or whatever, they can hang it to dry and they can still go out later before their stuff is dry, because it takes a long time to dry when you don't have a wood stove. We have a wood furnace, but it's not the same. But these ductings, one's intake and one's outtake. So I actually hung like a little clothesline, and below the outflow one, I hang stuff there, and then it's actually way warmer and that works way better. So when it comes to gloves for little kids, I want long ones that go up their wrist. I don't need short little silly gloves. We need long ones. For the big kids, they don't care so much. The big kids more like gloves like this. I hunt at our consignment store. I go a couple times in the fall and I buy a pile of pairs so that as we wear them out and whatever, we replace them. I look for brands like Columbia, Hot Paws, Combi. Mac actually has these wool ones that he adores. And I have these wool ones that are fleece lined that I love too. Now let's see if I can find the boys' chore ones. I'm gonna have to show you upstairs somewhere. Okay. What's up? Okay.
Guess what?
What?
When we started the war,
Yeah.
did you hear?
I didn't know.
That lead into another war.
That's crazy.
Another war. Another
So
war.
for little kids, I love snow suits. These, we have 2 of these. They're mech toaster suits. They still make them, but these are old ones. And then we just got this hand-me-down one that is, oh, actually this is Mech's newer style of one. I think this is Rowan's size. I don't think you have a snowsuit this year, Freya. Freya
No.
only has 2-piece ones this year.
I like.
You like snowsuits?
Yeah.
Well, I'll keep my eye out for one for you. When it comes to snow pants, we prefer the style that have, like they go up the back. They're not just short. Like some of them are just pants with overall. We like the ones that go up. That makes a big difference. And then Rowan, I just got her this jacket at consignment store and it's down. We definitely lean to down and wool whenever possible because they're just the coziest, right?
I like this jacket.
You like that jacket? Mm-hmm.
camo.
Yeah, we're missing the hood on it though.
Yeah. There's that jacket I had this year from hand-me-down. There's a couple hand-me-downs. Right?
Some other ones, the kids, some of them have insulated Carhartt overalls. Those are nice and comfy. Mac has these wool trapper pants, and they're his favorite winter ones. And then you saw this in my Value Village haul, this down and fur coat that I got for Mac that will be so cozy for him in all his outdoor pursuits. The last thing before I go upstairs and show you work gloves is hats and such. So the little kids have these scarves. This is, they're not natural fibers at all, but they don't like wool scarves. It's this really soft minky and they snap on. So the nice thing, these are from a local maker, but So Bright Creations. She doesn't make them anymore, but she sells the pattern, and there actually is someone else who makes them now instead of her. But what I like is that I put the hood up on their jacket or their suit, and then I put this over top, and it just stays really, really nicely in place. The other thing they have is balaclavas. So ones like these, this is Cali Kids brand. It's fleece. We can take the hood off so she can just wear it as a scarf, or she can have the hood up, or she can push it down under her neck. This is Rowan's. And these are just so great for little kids who are notorious about taking their hats and scarves off. These are much more fixed. And then mostly for hat, we have hand knit wool ones, as well as some of these Nepal wool fleece lined hats, which are so cozy. I have these thinner merino jersey hats. Let's see, these are my favorite. These are just like feed store gloves. Watson, super thick for when it's really cold out. And then when it's less cold out, my favorite is just thin wool ones. And then I'll show you Marius's. These Duray brand wool nylon. They're inexpensive. They're maybe $10 to $12. And Marius finds that he can still work in them, or he can layer them under a bigger one if it's really cold out. They have split mitts and these, and he loves these. He'll layer 2 of them too when one starts to get holes. And they're just such a great price point for something that's just gonna get trashed anyways. And then all the kids have 1 or 2 sets of wool long johns. Simply Merino is the main brand we have. You can use the code Venison for 10% off. The other ones are these waffle pajama long johns, and they are also super comfy, and the kids love them. The boys are really big into just wearing jeans and hoodies over top of their long johns. The girls, however, are really into dresses. So dresses like this one. Rowan wore this a bunch last year, and she can wear it again this year. It's comfy, it's cozy. This is Carter's brand, I think. There's no tag there. But she can layer it over top of her long johns, so she's cozy, but then still wearing the dress that she wants to wear. Because our house is so cold, everyone also has slippers. We either have wool Glerups slippers. I'll show you mine, but the dog, when he was a puppy, chewed on them, so I tried needle felting and that didn't really stay. Actually, he pulled that off again, so I ended up fabric gluing on linen patches. But these are super comfy. The other ones we have are crocheted wool slippers, because sort of house, you get way too cold to feet if you're not wearing slippers. The last ones I wanted to show you here, these are again Watson brand. This is what our feed store carries. Marius and the boys all have these Sherpa lined. They are so warm. They can work in them in really cold weather, although they're bulky, so, you know. But in cold weather, really cold weather, we're just trying to stay alive here. Like, we're talking -20, -30 Celsius. And then these I got at the thrift store this last year. These are wool split mitts. They're kind of bent funny, it's hard to show. But they have a trigger finger. And then these big waterproof insulated covers with a trigger finger that you can stick that little trigger finger into, right? They're Army surplus, and they were $5 a pair. So I only bought 2 pairs of them, and I wish I'd bought more. But Hamish didn't want them, so I just bought a pair for Mac and Marius. But they're padded here too, and they're for like, you know, if they're out ice fishing or something and trying to stay warm. They're not if you were trying to do chores. You could not do chores in these, but you could do chores in these. In this sort of climate, you need to lean into natural fibers, insulated things, wool, down. If you're just wearing little fleece mittens, they're not going to get you anywhere. You're going to be cold and miserable outside, and we want our children to have fun outside. We want our children to want to do things outside, and we believe that them having the proper outdoor gear, which is primarily gathered through thrift stores and consignment stores because there's so much good stuff available. If you had to buy it all new, wow, it would cost so much money. But we're able to find almost all of it consignment and thrift store. So that's really awesome. And it just sets them up for success to enjoy winter. Our kids love winter. Our kids can't wait till there's snow. They can't wait to be doing all the winter activities. And I think us giving them the opportunities and them being dressed for success is a big reason and why they're so excited for winter.